talk to you a little bit about passing. Specifically, Verstappen and Hamilton last weekend in the Formula One race at the British Grand Prix. And I have some very strong opinions on this that are born out of 600 plus races that I've been in, many of which were 24 hours. And this is all just my opinion. But in concert with a guy named Jerry Earwood, who was chief instructor at Skip Barber Racing School for many years and is again now in the reborn Skip Barber Racing School, we wrote something called the Passing Standards for the SCCA. It was accepted and is now in their general competition rules as an appendix. They are not rules, they are guidelines. And these guidelines come out of my experience in racing, because you know when you race, every so often you tangle with somebody and everybody's pissed, and one guy says, you know, you turned in on me, and the other guy says, I never saw you, and etc., etc. And this happened in my career several times, and I thought about it a lot. Like, all right, what are the fundamentals here? What do I do to make racing work in my races? I won with my team, of course, a great team, the 24 Hours of Daytona twice. I raced in all these, thank you. I raced a whole lot of these budget endurance races lately. It's real recently. Hours. I mean, I'll drive 6 hours in one day, not hit anybody, and still go faster than everybody in the race. Turn the fastest lap in the race. In fact, fast enough that the people at Lucky Dog Racing League have allowed me only to drive a car for a half an hour because I won too many races for the teams that let me drive without hitting anybody or even having moments. Okay, maybe a couple close ones. But anyway, when I was thinking about it, it occurred to me that there are natural laws of passing that are just the result of what we're doing in the sport if you want to race with people and not run into them. And it ties into other sports. And it's the way it has to be. You know what it's based on? In every single sport, especially stick and ball sports, you'll hear the expression, keep your eye on the ball. Everybody has natural hand-eye coordination. And everything you do in driving is based fundamentally on what you can see on your eyes, right? Well, guess what? It's the same way for passing competitively and safely without hitting people, and it just works. And I came up with these silly terms for a couple of things that are very important to us in race. One of them is, don't hit what you can see. Pretty simple, right? Pretty simple. And that part of it means simply, you're in the brake zone, you're about to enter a corner, and a car appears in your vision inside into that corner. When that happens, that car now has the upper hand. That driver has inserted himself into your peripheral vision in the brake zone before or real close to when you first start to turn. Like a chess game. You might have heard that before. People talk about racing properly. If you don't want to run into people, it's more like a chess game. You make moves with your positioning and you gain an advantage. And so when you see a car appear in your peripheral vision before you turn to a corner, that driver has now earned racing room. You have to give that guy room. Not only does he have room, he's got the upper hand. By braking better than you and getting into your vision in the brake zone, he has gotten the upper hand. That makes me think of wrestling or tennis. When you hit the ball in the right place and the other guy gets in a bad position and you're ready. And he gets the ball back, but you take him down. because you got him in a bad position. Well, that's what that is. When a car gets inside you, he has taken the line away from you, or if he's smart, that's what he does. The car inside you has a duty, and that duty is to leave you a lane, not run you off the track or off the racing surface, even two wheels. P.D. Cunningham used to say, you gotta leave a car within an inch. Now, we're an RMDR, we're all friends, we're racing expensive cars. Leave them some room, don't run the outside car off the road, that's simple, right? If you're gonna race in a sportsmanlike manner. This is not Death Race 2000. I did that, it was called the Cletus McFarland 3-500 at a certain track in Florida. And it was 5 or 6 real racers and 15 YouTubers, and it was frightening, let me tell you. Do not run a race with a YouTuber. They don't know how hard that wall is, but a couple of them learned. Anyway, when the car comes inside you, he's got an upper hand, and if that driver inside you is smart, they keep going straight. They mess you up a little bit, because you can't turn. You see that car, he is in your way, is in your way, has inserted itself between you and the apex, gained an upper hand, and if that car is smart, it will continue going straight until it gets to the line, the best line for the exit. Then it will turn, and you're essentially forced behind it. That's the best way to make a pass, is get next to somebody in the brake zone, close to them. Not all the way over here at the apex, but close to them in the brake zone. You're going straight. This is relatively safe. And drive them straight until you get to the line, and then you turn. You're going to have to brake a little extra because you're not on the ideal line, but you're in that other car's way. You have gained the upper hand without ever touching them. That is proper racing, and that is gaining an advantage without touching a car. It requires that the car you got inside does not turn for the corner. This amazes me. I've seen it, I've lived it. Get next to somebody, they look at you, and they turn the wheel, and they drive right at you. And like I think Lewis Hamilton did right here, he goes, uh-oh, here he comes. This guy is coming anyway. One of my commenters on Instagram said, couldn't Hamilton see him? That was before the turning. That's in the brake zone. That's open territory. You see if you can get in there. And when you go to pass somebody in the brake zone, you've got to commit. You've got to calculate the timing of it if you're going to make a pass. Hopefully you've been studying that car, watching where he brakes, you know yours, and you've figured out that you can go to the 2, and he's only going to the 2.5, and you can get next to him into his vision and take the line away. When you go straight a little bit, you force him to go straight a little bit, force it to go straight, and you take the line away. The best passes happen when you force that other car to be behind you. I remember a classic pass I put on my teammate. I didn't hate it, but he was so annoying. And I got next to him in the brake zone. Everything was beautiful. I turned in. He did not slow down and fall in behind me. He chose to drive next to me. He didn't turn in on me, which was great. But he hung on, tried to hang on the outside. Oh, he's not on the right line. It's dirtier out there. He ran off the road. And he says, you ran me off the road. And I'm going, oh no, you chose to not slow down. I took the line. And you hung on the outside and didn't make it. It's not my fault. I had the upper hand. Or you do too, when you get next to a car in the brake zone. Now in this incident, this is the moment of truth, roughly. Now this is a simulation. But the first time I saw this incident from last weekend's Formula One race, it's on the first lap, Verstappen has gotten ahead of Hamilton, and Hamilton is attacking. He's coming back. And he really gets this far at or just after Verstappen starts to turn for the corner. Can Max see Lewis? Yes! Of course he can see him. He turned in anyway. Why? Because he is Max Verstappen. My commenters say he has a long history of that, and if you want to play the game that way, you can, and you can be intimidating to people, but you're going to take yourself out of very important races at 140 miles an hour once in a while and slam into the wall. And you can blame the other person all you want, but it's not Hamilton's fault. Hamilton got into his vision before or right when he started to turn. And this was no surprise. Jamie, can we play this? On the way in, if you remember this incident, Hamilton has a run. He came out of the last corner better, and he's going inside to take a shot at Verstappen, and Verstappen moves across the road to block him. Max's mistake was he didn't move enough. Max went over some. Hamilton had a pretty darn good run out of the last corner. Max saw him coming and moved to block him, but he didn't move enough. If he moved enough to the inside, Hamilton would not have been able to get inside him, and he would have had to try the outside, and the outside is a tough pass on a good car. Hamilton's coming. He says, I'm not passing the outside, I'm going inside. Verstappen says, no, you're not. But when he went inside, he didn't go far enough, and he left a lane. And Hamilton inserted himself into it. This was close to that wall. It was a ballsy move to go through there. And then Verstappen moved out to get close to the line so he'd have a better run off the next corner. Hamilton went with him a little bit, and they got that close to side by side. In my Instagram post, there's a picture from Verstappen's in car. There's a very narrow angle, and you see Hamilton's end plate appear in that camera. And Verstappen turns right into it. Don't hit what you can see. If a car comes inside you in the brake zone, going into four at the end of that straightaway, they now have the upper hand. You cannot turn in. You'll probably hit them if you do, and it's your fault. Don't hit what you can see. That's what that means. The other side of that is not as relevant to this discussion, but there's something I call the vortex of danger. The vortex of danger, hold that, can you back that up slightly? Jamie, you're doing a great job. The vortex of danger is what happens after the brake zone. After the brake zone, there is a vortex, which is basically just a triangle. I call it a vortex because, believe me, it sucks you in. Because it's inscribed by the lead car, the inside edge of the road, and the apex. You see that? That's a triangle. Boom. Like that. It's a triangle. And those of you who have raced a lot know this. Even if you've never said it in your mind or written it down, when the car ahead of you turns for the corner and you're not already next to him, it's too late, people. Unless it's a very slow car. But if it's a competitive car, for a moment it looks like you're going to make it. You think, I can get in there. That's what sucks you in. It's like the sirens. It sucks you in for a moment, and that's not what happened here. Hamilton is already next to him before he turned. If he wasn't, there's a vortex of danger. It's a triangle, and if you stick your nose in that, you are asking for trouble. And if you hit, it's your fault. Because down the straightaway, can you look in your mirrors? Going down the straightaway? Yes, you can. It's really different. When you turn to the corner, where are you looking? Where are you looking when you turn to the corner? Apex. Apex. Exit is next. You're looking at the apex. You have to look at the apex. You can't go into a corner looking in your mirrors and all that. I mean, you can try to get the guy to do that. And if we succeed, he's going to mess up and we're going to pass him on the next straightaway. When you're the lead car, once you start to turn in, you're committing to the line to go to the apex. The person back here, you or me, that's trying to pass the lead car, holds all the cards. The leader has already turned to the corner. They're looking at the apex. You or me, we're behind. We're looking at the leader. Do we know what the leader's doing? Yeah, he's looking at the apex. Of course we know what he's doing. He's going for the apex. If you're the leader, do you know what this car is doing? Back here? No. You don't know what they're doing. Can you look back over your shoulder and check up on that? No. You'll drive right off the road. I've done it. I'm doing this the hard way. You can't see it. That's why it is a vortex of danger. The lead car can't see you coming. It's too late. That hole is closing in a hurry. You're not going to make it. You're going to probably hit him, and it's your fault. A lot of you may have been in situations where you come into a corner and the car appears and you swerve out of the way at the last minute. Great job. You did a great job of avoiding a bad passing move, a late move, a dive bomb. Trying to get next to them in the brake zone is a simple passing out braking attempt. But to make that work, you've got to already know you've got a good shot at that. That, you got a good run off the last corner, that you're close, that his brakes and tires have been getting worse. And advice, you want to surprise them. If you start seeing your car has an advantage, don't show it. We're talking about a real race here with a good car that's competitive with you. If you want to get by somebody, you got to hold your car as close to your chest. Don't rush right up on their tail. Hang back a little bit. You're like, you know what? He's pretty bad in turn 4. I think I got this guy in 4. Don't show it. You wait until the right time. You got a good run, you got a draft, you're like, now's the time. At the end of the brake zone, the guy doesn't protect because he doesn't realize that you can kill him in the brake zone for 4. And you stay back there, then you pop out, you get up into his vision, boom, and you got him. And you go a little bit further than you have to. Actually, you go to the racing line, turn in, and that driver is forced behind you. I don't like it, but I have to accept it if I'm the lead car, because that guy got me. When a car appears inside you in the brake zone, they have got the upper hand before you turn to the corner. After you turn to the corner, it becomes the vortex of danger. Don't go there. Especially in Formula 4s. You don't have fenders. It's one of the beautiful things about it. Anyway, that's about all I have to say. Of course, in my humble opinion, but I know what I'm talking about. Hamilton got almost dead nuts next to Verstappen in the brake zone. And Verstappen chopped him. Came right down. Hamilton attempted to get out of the way. He was wheel to wheel. He's backed off. He's like, oh my God, this maniac is coming down on me like he always does. And they touched. That's probably the reason why he ran so wide on the exit. You bump a car, it's going to mess you up, and it could knock you wide. But that's my opinion, according to me, on that. And some advice on how to race and make your passes clean and consistent, and stay out of trouble, because guess what? Crashes suck. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you listening.